The late 19th century marked a dark chapter in African history, the Scramble for Africa. European powers, driven by imperial ambition and industrial greed, descended upon the continent. Their goal was simple: to carve up Africa for their own benefit. This period of aggressive expansionism, stretching from the 1880s to the early 1900s, saw European nations compete ruthlessly for control. The Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885 stands as a stark symbol of this colonial arrogance. European leaders gathered, not to negotiate with African leaders, but to arbitrarily draw lines on a map. They divided Africa amongst themselves, with little regard for existing ethnic groups, cultural boundaries, or the wishes of the African people. The speed and scale of the European takeover were staggering. By 1914, only Ethiopia and Liberia remained independent. The rest of Africa had been swallowed up by European empires. This rapid colonization was fueled by a potent mix of economic, political, and social factors. European industries craved raw materials, and Africa, rich in resources like rubber, diamonds, and gold, became a prime target. European powers employed a range of cunning strategies to secure their grip on Africa. One of the most insidious tools was the deceptive treaty. These agreements, often signed with local chiefs who had little understanding of their implications, were used to legitimize European claims to vast swathes of land. In reality, these treaties were often coerced, with European negotiators using threats or promises of gifts to secure signatures. The divide and conquer tactic proved equally effective. Europeans would exploit existing tensions between different ethnic groups or kingdoms. By pitting these groups against each other, Europeans could weaken potential resistance and consolidate their own control. They would often arm and support one side in a local conflict, further deepening divisions and creating lasting animosity. Cultural manipulation also played a significant role in the colonial project. Europeans sought to undermine traditional African beliefs and systems of governance. They introduced Western education systems, often with the aim of creating an African elite that was more sympathetic to European values. Missionaries played their part, converting Africans to Christianity and portraying European culture as superior. Perhaps the most devastating consequence of European colonization in Africa was the widespread expropriation of land. Vast tracts of land, often the most fertile and resource-rich, were seized from African communities and transferred to European settlers or companies. This land grab had a profound and lasting impact on African societies, disrupting traditional farming practices, displacing communities, and creating a legacy of landlessness that continues to this day. The loss of land had a cascading effect on African economies. With their traditional livelihoods destroyed, many Africans were forced into labor on European-owned farms, mines, or plantations. This system of forced labor, often characterized by brutal conditions and exploitation, further enriched European colonizers while impoverishing African communities. The loss of land also eroded traditional social structures and power dynamics, as control over this vital resource shifted from African communities to European colonizers. The legacy of land expropriation continues to cast a long shadow over Africa. Today, many African countries still grapple with the consequences of colonial land policies. Issues of land ownership remain complex and contested, often fueling social unrest and hindering economic development. The concentration of land in the hands of a few, often those descended from colonial elites, perpetuates inequality and limits opportunities for many Africans. Efforts to address these historical injustices through land reform programs have met with mixed success. Some countries have made progress in redistributing land to landless communities, but challenges remain in ensuring that these communities have access to the resources and support they need to thrive. The legacy of colonization continues to shape the political, economic, and social landscapes of many African nations. Recognizing and addressing this legacy is crucial for achieving genuine and lasting development across the continent.